Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Reality Guys. I'm here, Brett, with my co-host Kevin, and we're going to talk about the season finale and the whole season as a whole of one of the greatest shows ever, Australian Survivor. And so we're going to start first with who the winner is. So spoilers incoming now, but the winner of this season is Liz. And me personally, I think she's an okay winner. It would have been much more well-deserved if George made it to the final and got the win. However, I think Matt should have beat Liz. Come on now. Liz, we can get into this, but I don't think Liz played a better game than Matt. What do you think, Kevin?
Um, I kind of actually have to disagree. Although they both played good games, Matt and Liz, obviously George, if he would have made it to the final, then it definitely was his game locked up. But I would mean like that whole last sequence there proves everything that's needed to justify Liz being the winner. I mean, she knew what she had to do. She got it done. She outlasted. She, I mean, she was even more, I would say, more vocal the entire season about her moves and stuff like that, where Matt kind of just rode a
That's
coattail of George. But Matt did step up when time was needed. If I would totally, absolutely, absolutely disagree with you if Matt didn't make the move to get Shoney out prior, like out of the jury.
Mhm.
But still, I would still say that Liz 100% deserved it.
Okay.
I mean, she's certainly not better than George. Like, you know what I mean? So, but
It's like with normal Survivor when we lost Jesse and got Gabler. Like Gabler was the most deserving of the three he was against. However, Jesse clearly was the front runner. He just didn't get there. So in this season, George is the front runner by like a mile, man. Like I mean, if you're watching this, you probably watch the season and George, like, bow down, man. That dude is the king. He is.
dude, it's so impressive. His game is so impressive. The way that he just thinks ahead, he's constantly thinking numbers. He's constantly working the crowd like
Yeah.
very well. And he doesn't win challenges. He doesn't do it. He has figured out a way to do it without needing to do that. And I applaud him.
I don't even remember. I guess he was kind of on the bottom the whole time his previous season. I don't even remember, but like this season, he just always had allies around him. And even if it wasn't even when the vote was simple, he like somehow changed it to not be simple. He would figure something out. And I guess we can go into that too, but I just lost my train of thought. But anyway, anyway, so George, when Liz, one of her strong points in final tribal, I'll give her credit. She did the best at final tribal in speaking her points and asserting herself. Matt did not do that. He should have. I think he dropped the bag because I honestly believe his overall game and moves were better. So for example, Liz, she says that, okay, George, one of the things that I did that you didn't like lead me to was keeping Flick safe. And well, Liz, that was a bad move by you. So you're like, yes, you convinced George not to get rid of Flick, but also that was a terrible move for you in hindsight.
Yeah, literally the next week it screwed her. But
It screwed her. So Liz, I mean, Matt and Liz both rode George's coattails to the whole thing. At least with Matt, I saw some insight to what his master plan was. He was going to get to final three with Jerry, win the challenge, and take Jerry. And so even when that wasn't a thing or instead of final two, it was a final three. He still knew he had to get rid of George. And Liz kept claiming that getting George out was her move. Like it wasn't any more her move than it was Matt's or Jerry's. I don't know how hard it was to convince Jerry to get rid of George, but if he needed convincing, Matt's the one that convinced him, not Liz. So, and if anything, Matt's the one that got rid of George.
um, okay, I can see where you're coming from with that. Um, I guess my question for you is like, how did you feel about the whole, I guess, situation even going into it? It was like what we knew and expected going into it, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's not an elimination tonight. Whoever wins gets to vote out a jury member, which then led, like, there wasn't a vote at that point to get George out if you were Liz or Matt, which I would have thought would have been the case, like, because George doesn't win challenges, you know what I mean? So like now's their opportunity. Obviously, Jerry
Are you saying to
was the
vote someone
shield.
off? or to vote a jury member.
Yeah, instead of voting somebody off, you got to vote a jury member, which then led to a four-person and competition instead of a three, like it's been in the past, like with the endurance challenge at the end. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What are you? What are you talking about? Are you talking about the whole vote a jury off? Or are you talking about the very last?
Well, it took away a vote, which then didn't allow Matt or Liz to make a move on George then. So
Mhm.
then it almost came out
Right.
to
So
it.
The challenge Matt wins. The challenge Matt wins. They can't vote out anybody, right? So that's what you're saying is
Right.
they missed it
Yeah.
to take out George. Who was left at that point? It
It was
was
the same four.
okay.
Nobody got eliminated.
So okay, yeah, it was just the four of them that were left, and instead of
Yeah.
taking someone out, I mean, this would have been the same situation though. It would have been you need three votes. Like you can't. So I mean, I assume Liz and Matt wanted to take out George the entire time, at least like to not let him be final three. I think Matt's plan was to get to final three and go to final two with Jerry. But since I mean, we know they both wanted him out. They didn't give enough insight into Jerry's mind because I don't know if Jerry was on the same page. Because I was somewhat convinced that if Jerry really had a choice, he would have gone to final three with George.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A
So
thousand percent.
the fact that Jerry, like, if that's true, if Jerry really wanted to go to Final Three with George, 100% zero vote finalist, because that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And the fact that Matt convinced Jerry to vote against George, that means this was Matt's move to get George out, not Liz's move. Also, a keynote with Liz. I
Well, what I mean, there was no. It was either no at that point because you couldn't vote Liz, so it would have been like, oh, so Matt convinced him to vote Jerry instead of himself.
okay,
Is that what
that's
you mean?
true. Okay, so another thing with that is Matt's big. So Matt didn't speak to his big moves. He was asked what his big moves are, and he didn't speak to them. Okay, one of the big moves was he was closer to Jerry than George was. Okay, because Jerry was in George's pocket the whole game, but he was also in Matt's pocket. So at the end of the day, Matt had more say with Jerry than George did. That's a big move. Another big move that Matt had was obviously the vote out of the jury. Liz and George both wanted to get rid of Simon. They didn't get their way. Matt got his way. He convinced Jerry that they need to take out Shawnee because Shawnee's a guaranteed vote for Liz, which is true. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another move that Matt made. He just didn't he didn't speak to his like if I was in Matt's shoes, I would have won this game because I would have speaking to his moves better. I mean, maybe they didn't show it, but like from what I saw, I'm like, dude, you dropped the ball.
I mean, I kind of started. He was to me, Matt was nothing until like the last 2 weeks, which is
True.
probably a well played game. You know what I mean?
Did he get any
Um,
professionals?
but they followed Liz a little more, and then I started to like her when it came to stuff because of that, and I think that's why I started cheering for her. But I liked her because like George just kept fucking screwing her over, like
Yes. She had
it
no
just,
agency.
yeah.
She was okay. She was just as a puppy dog to George as Matt was. Like Matt, I think Matt had his own individual plan that didn't like include George at some point. I don't know where Liz's mind was, but she kept getting screwed by George. Like she never
Yeah.
had power. She voted wrong. I don't think Matt ever voted wrong. Matt played the perfect meat shield game. He hitched his wagon to George, took a goat Jerry, and got to the end with the goat. The only problem is
Mm.
this third person Liz that just beat him in speaking. But I mean, she played her idol wrong. I'm convinced that if George didn't take out Shawnee, Liz would have gone to the end with Shawnee and lost to Shawnee. That's a dumb move. All the other things I mentioned. So I think Liz definitely did not play better than Matt. I guess that's what I'm ranting about now. But
I think
I think that's a
honestly, I'm
controversial.
like I'm more. I mean, yeah, definitely, but you're making a good point. Um, I think I was more at one point just like while respecting Georgia's game, sick of it. So like I wanted to see like every week it was like, why aren't they getting rid of this dude? Like it's obvious he's gonna win type of thing.
Mhm.
And then it was like, all right, now her backs are against the ropes. If she can just win out, she's fine. Or like she could probably take this, and then she did. So I think that's why I kind of
I mean, I don't think she ever really spoke to her. In hindsight, she said she wanted revenge after Shawnee was gone, but she never really like said that, I don't think. Matt, the few confessionals he did get gave us insight to his mind where he's like, dude, all I got to do is chill behind George and coast to the end. And like, I'm just going to take him out at the end and then I'm going to win, which I'm like, that's, I guess kind of boring, but like a good strategy. I think it would have been a winning one.
yeah.
Definitely.
Actually, know what I was also surprised with?
Liz would have been
It,
gone. Sorry to interrupt you, but if it was a final two, the three dudes would have voted Liz out, and then Matt would have gotten his way with taking Jerry to final two. So I don't know. Go ahead.
unless she won. Um, I was actually kind of surprised with how well Jerry did with his argument there for a little bit. Obviously, we all knew that he was done, but he gave himself a little solid like argument there. But
Yeah, all three had good pitches initially when they just had the
mhm.
first pitch.
But then
Uh,
when the questions start firing at him, they start. Yeah, Matt and Jerry just poopied in their pants a little bit and
yeah,
lost.
yeah. I mean, Liz was. It almost felt like Liz was intercepting their questions and just like answering them from her.
She was.
And they
Which, hey,
weren't saying
dude,
anything.
bro, if there was a $500,000 or $1 million on the line, I would like. We talked about this pre-show about how we just got to cut people off and start saying like what your opinion is, and if that was the case for $1 million,
Yeah,
absolutely, I absolutely would.
she did because they yeah, once it got to the questions, I mean, Jerry got buried by Sean because I guess he didn't form like good connections with the people, which like at this point, like, dang, Jerry is actually like in a worse position than I even thought he was at the beginning. And then I know Matt, when he kind of lost his stake in the game was when George was like, no, that wasn't your move. That was my move. I started it. Um, so yeah. And
I have a question. Does it say a lot about George in the real world that his guest family member was an ex teammate and not an actual family member?
I don't know,
How
that
do
was
you
weird. When I saw Clara and her big booties,
what do you think? Yeah, what do
oh,
you
Clara, hey, how you doing?
what do you think it's like to deal with, like, could you work with George on a day-to-day basis?
And not if we were
It
equals.
would be
If he
it
was
would
my
be hard.
boss, if he
Oh
was,
yeah, yeah.
I guess, got
But
to
if
be.
you were equals, there would just be chirping in the background, talking about you left and right. Like it would be hard. He's a politician, so like he just lives for this stuff. It's awesome,
Yeah,
and I truly feel bad for him because he deserved that win. Like he did not make a wrong move the entire season. It was incredible.
I mean, that's just the problem with his type of game or that type of game is like
You draw too much attention to
there
yourself.
needs to be a way for him to actually get to final three without it just being like, I'm the biggest threat and you three are just going to vote me out. Like,
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
immunity, but he was never really in that position. So I know he talked about like getting in better shape. So I thought like, what if George wins this one? Like, what if he wins this one? But yeah, the
I would like just for almost like a behind the scenes. I would love, and he had it prepared in his head. I would love to hear his initial jury like presentation. I just to hear how it would be so good at it.
His confessionals already narrate the whole season, so it'd be more of the same of that. But I mean, I don't know. I just feel like he deserves to win more than Liz
I
does.
know.
So the fact that it just
I
sucks.
want to see him on American Survivor and just whoop the shit out of everybody.
I don't know if he will. They might just vote him out. Like that's just like him and Haley both. How did they not get voted out at the beginning of this game? Because that seems to be logical. And Simon wanted to do it, he just couldn't pull it off.
But I think that kind of like highlights how good he is because literally the first season he was in, George, it was it wasn't just one or two episodes that they were gunning for him and he somehow pulled it off. It was like it was like 8 or 9 until he finally got the heat kind of off of him. And then in this one, dude, he was in this season. He was going home at one time, and all he or I think he was going home, or somebody close in his line said he knew he needed to keep around for a little longer. Was going home, and he just goes, "You know what? I'm just going to stir the pot." And when he looked it over and he told on Simon. No, no, he told on what's his face, the dude with the overalls and the corduroy,
Jordy.
um, Jordy. He was like, "Dude, he just outed you. You two are
Oh,
like doing that," and
that's the one you texted me about.
completely flipped. Yeah, yeah, that was like
He,
the
he like
best.
he pulled Jordy in. Jordy was Simon's best friend. He made
Yeah,
Jordy betray Simon, and then he outed Jordy for betraying Simon.
right, dude.
That
And
kind
then
of stuff was
and then called ultimatum on him. He's like, "Are you gonna play your idol for her, or are you gonna go down within the next 2 weeks?" I'm just telling you right now, that's what's gonna happen. And like Simon was in his pants. He didn't know what to do. He eventually didn't play the idol for her. She
Oh, he
went
made
home.
Simon betray Stevie too. So
Yeah,
he just
dude, like
narrated his
he's
crimes,
so good,
and then took out
so good.
Frazier.
Yeah,
The guys against him. He literally made Jordy and Simon look like complete idiots,
yep,
and then took
yeah.
out the third guy that got the professional.
Yeah, yeah. Fraser, the guy that like nobody knew his name or anything, like he was just never talked about. It was like, oh, dude, that guy just got caught in the crossfire. Like, poor dude.
We never really got to see the aftermath too much because I think they swapped tribes shortly after.
They did, yeah. Well, there was that little really weird, awkward moment where Jordy was like, I couldn't, I had to tell him, like I had to do it, and like it was just awkward. But then you knew Simon was going to go back to it anyway. Simon was an interesting one this whole season too. He was
Yeah.
he held his gameplay and stuff so high when realistically he was just
I was curious if he got to the end, if he'd be like a zero vote finalist. Cause like I personally like Simon and liked his tenacity for trying to get rid of George, but he never got it done. I don't know, but
never had a chance, man.
he sort of in some way became the cockroach of this season. Like they just couldn't get rid of Simon.
Yeah, yeah.
Reason or the other. Like he was winning immunities, and then he kind of just like became the unlikable person at one point. They're like, oh, we don't need to take out Simon.
Well, yeah. Remember, it was that fake idol, the fake idol that he like legitimately thought was
Oh my,
real.
we have 4 minutes left on the recording thing, but like, dude, that's such a BS that was not an idol. That was like,
I know.
come on. There
That
was
being
like,
yeah,
how was
like
he
like
supposed to see the
he
idol? Like,
one
oh, let me
hundred
go look
percent would be
through
like,
it.
yeah, right.
I thought it was an idol.
It was good.
And I was like, are they ever going to tell him that it's not an idol? Because this seems to be like sort of unfair a
Dude,
little.
it played out perfect for an audience standpoint, where it was like, dude, I hope that and then he plays it to the wrong George again, calls him out, is like, where's that fake idol? Oh, weird. You seem to not know anything there, Simon. Like, it was so funny. All right, let's wrap it up now.
All right, I was going to say, do you want to just do a second? Want to keep talking? But
No,
okay.
no.
Dude, I don't. The whole season was amazing. So like, I guess people watching this probably watched it, but if you didn't, go watch it. And if you need to know where to watch it, we can send you the YouTube link. But
For sure. Yeah. I suggest everybody watches this season.
yeah, it was awesome. I'm trying to think with the little time I have left. One thing I wanted to bring up though, because I have a picture of it, is in that final immunity challenge, Matt's the only one like getting hit with waves. So
Oh, I know.
when he
Dude, he
slipped
was
off
getting
the knee, he
nailed.
blasted from a wave, and Liz like didn't get touched.
He's taken all the wave and like it's not hitting her at all.
Yeah, I was like
I
that.
felt bad for him.
Well, I guess this didn't really matter in the end, but like, I mean, that's kind of BS.
It definitely does, but you can't control that. So
Yeah. He got blasted by a wave and then like go. Like, oh, I was like, dang, that sucks. But yeah, I mean, it was a great season. Um,
I'm telling you, I'm looking forward to every like Australian Survivor after this. It got me like on a whole new hype towards Survivor again. Basically, like
yeah,
this is the way that I remember watching Survivor and being hyped about it. Like this format's great. It's perfect.
we
So
kind of allude to it from our other Survivor show, but like, I don't dislike the other Survivor. I just think like there's so many things they're doing better here now. Just there's more
great.
episodes, I think. So like we're on episode 24 for season 8. And the challenges is one of my favorite parts about it is that they're just more physical, like you have guys like going mano a mano a lot, and you have to like pick matchups and things. And in the American Survivor nowadays, it's just like do some random crap and then a puzzle. So it just gets annoying. And then there's
Yeah.
stuff like American Survivor doesn't have enough like we're gonna like beat you to your core by making you like sit on a perch for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So they've
Yeah.
done it a few times here.
Yeah. And it's paid off. Well, okay. Yeah. This one was better. This was the best one.
Your favorite Australian one?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. I liked a couple other seasons. Like I liked.
I don't always love the winners that they get here, but I love the seasons. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I one of my like two of my favorite characters are David, the Golden God, and Luke Toki. So Luke didn't pull out
Yeah.
but David pulled out the win. So
Yeah. He got that one, and I loved that. That was because I loved him. I was like, this is the type of dude you need. Like, he was just fun as hell.
he was like the George of that season where he just narrated the whole thing and kind of
Yeah.
a little bit. He was
But he did it in a funny
fine.
way, and I like Jordy too a lot. Is that the second person you
Yeah,
said? Yeah,
George
Jordy.
overall
He kind of gave up this season. It was weird,
didn't play his idol, man. He went home with an idol in his pocket. Like,
and I think he knew it. I think he knew exactly. He was like whatever. If I pull this
yeah.
off, this is great.
He,
But
he
I'm
burned
okay
Shawnee's
going home.
idol. Shawnee, I think, got voted out with an idol in her pocket. Liz played her idol poorly. I don't think a single person saved themselves with an idol this season. I think they all misplayed their idols. We're about to get cut off. George. So I'm a big Russell Hands fan. I think George surpasses him as the greatest to never win.
Agreed. Great, great.
Sorry, Russell. You now are in second place for the greatest to ever win.
George, please feel free to reach out and join us and talk to us. I would love to talk to you.
Yeah, let's get George on the show. Let's send him some requests to come hang out.
Absolutely. That'd be sick.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I think this thing's about